You with me, babes?
Yes,
Okay, good.
I do.
Nice.
Yes.
How are you feeling about this?
Are we recording?
I just started.
Okay.
The book isn't even open yet. I
No.
think we should start this off by a kiss.
A kiss?
Yes.
Why?
Because I like kisses.
Mm-hmm.
Babes.
Okay. I'm just
No
kidding.
fake farting, babes.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Are you excited about this? Are you nervous?
No, I'm not. I actually enjoy doing this.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Well, I mean, hopefully not that much fun, but
Oh,
yeah.
Hopefully we can get it boring and get across the message that you have to believe or suffer.
Oh my,
Sorry, Abby.
Bubs.
What?
We haven't even gotten to that yet.
Uh-oh.
Anyway.
Will we get there today or probably not?
I'm going to start in verse 10 because I wanted to kind of backtrack here.
And this is of chapter 3 of John.
This is in chapter 3 of John, and he is talking to Nicodemus.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Hit it.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit more and start in chapter 9. No, I'll start in chapter 10. Whatever. Okay.
Chapter 10?
I mean number 10.
Verse.
Of the verse. Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven. And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God, and here is one of my favorite memory verses that I learned as a kid. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the Son of the only begot. Let's start over again. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. And everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be proved. I'm sorry. Let me start over. My words are kind of.
Do you want to do a quick meditation, like a Buddhist thing?
No.
To get you in the mood?
No.
Okay.
Let me continue.
Would you like me to
No.
pour some salt on those braille pages you're reading?
No. Bubs.
What?
Come on now.
Okay.
Let me start back from 19 because I kind of stumbled. All right. And this is a condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. There we go. So this is the end of number 20.
What do you want me to take away from those verses?
So here's the what he's explaining to Nicodemus about how to be born again spiritually, right? And he's asking, well, I mean, you're a master of Israel. You should know these things. You don't know these things? So if I told you earthly things, then how could you understand heavenly things? And then he goes into, for God so loved the world, and that he's explaining the reason why he came into the world, why Jesus came into the world. And that's where you that's one of these passages that really touches on the gift and the plan of salvation.
Okay.
Yes.
Something that stood out to me, or a question that came up when you were reading this,
Okay.
that has been, I guess, a continuing one throughout my lifetime, or at least since I've really known about Christianity and religion in general. Do you think, in some way, maybe not for you, but for others, reading the Bible is a way of practicing arrogance, in the sense that it says something to the effect in there, and I'm not going to get it right because you know me, I butcher quotes nonstop. It's
yeah, it happens. Yeah,
it happens to me a lot though. I'm just not good at remembering quotes for whatever reason.
Okay.
But it says something to the effect, and he who shall accept me is good and is going to prosper forever, and those who don't are going to suffer for eternity. I know it doesn't exactly say that, but something to that effect.
Right.
So what do you think about the idea of the person who studies Christianity for the bragging rights or the arrogance of it? Because they can hold it over other people who are not believers.
Well, there are people that do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would call those people Pharisaical. There are Christians that are extremely judgmental, or they call themselves Christians, but I would also question their own salvation because spiritually, maybe they think they have it all together, and they could even, maybe I would even go as far to say as they may think that they look really, really perfect to other people, but actually they're not.
Have you ever called anybody out on this type of thing?
Yes, I have, not directly, but I have voiced my concern to somebody who was involved in the family, to where they were going to church every Sunday and Wednesday, and they grew up in this family, but their own relatives have condemned them for various things, and it was like it was almost, they would always question them on things like, are you telling the truth on this? It doesn't even matter what it is. They have taken it upon themselves to be the judger of all things that they do. I have voiced my concern. I haven't called that person out directly because I don't know this person very well, but from what I've seen of this person, who is related to the person I'm telling you about.
Yes.
She's very, this person seemed very sanctimonious. And that is something that doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, so you, from our conversations, I gather, would like it if I believed in the stories in the Bible.
Well, not just the stories. It's not a book of stories. I want you to get, what I really want you to do is to first understand the messages that these stories are sending. It's not that they're stories and they're nice stories because people look at it like that, but there's a message that is being conveyed. The
message, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that worship Jesus or you're screwed.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But there are consequences to the way that you live your life. It is better for you to, basically, his way is better than all of our ways, if that's how I see it. And if a person chooses not to, it is their own choice. However, there are consequences to people's actions.
We've talked about this before. I don't know if we've done it here. I've often told you, and half jokingly, but I do actually kind of wonder about this. Mm-hmm. When you die, mm-hmm. and you said that you're not concerned about this, are you? But I think maybe you should be a little bit concerned that God might meet you and say, Alana, I love you, and I think it's cool that you studied the Bible, but I gave you Rick in 2018, 19, and 20, and I would have hoped that you would have learned more about spirituality from him. and chosen a better path. And it sounds like you still believe that that's not going to happen.
No.
Okay, so
No.
here's a question I have for you.
Uh-oh.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have me kind of how I am now, where I'm a little bit of a trickster, to a small extent? Would you agree with that?
Yes, but that's a part of your personality. That's something I can't change.
Right, but I'm a little bit of a trickster. I'm spiritually leaning, but more towards like the Buddhist idea of life and that type of thing. Or would you rather have me to where I go to church every Sunday, I wake up and I study the Bible every day, but you know from the way I talk about things that I'm doing it as a way to judge other people?
I would never want you to be that way.
So you would rather me be like I am now?
I'd rather you be like you are now, but
Given those two scenarios.
But at the same time, it would be easier, and we've talked about this before, because I have thought about this, and it is a great concern. It would be easier if we were spiritually connected.
See, I agree, and that's why I'm...
But hold on.
I think that you should conform to my beliefs.
Hey.
But go ahead, keep talking.
This is I'm leading this, not you.
Go ahead.
It's still a concern of mine, but we don't have to discuss it here. It's, it is a concern of mine. It would be much easier if we were spiritually connected, and I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I think this is a good first step.
And again, I think I agree with you, and that's why I think you should take on my beliefs.
And Bubs,
there's still hope for you, babe.
Bubs, stop it.
Okay. Do you need a kiss?
No.
Okay.
But I do need to do this.
You just think of my outfit. Okay. I try to get my thumb in there, babe.
Okay.
Tickle truce?
Tickle truce.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say more about these verses before reading on?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I think this is pretty much the message. So I'm gonna go from number 21 to number 21 to 31.
Okay.
But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. After these things came Jesus and his disciples into the land of Judea, and there he tarried with them and baptized. And John also has baptized in Aenon near to Salem, because there was much water there, and they came and were baptized. So basically, the disciples were baptizing people, including John.
Okay.
For John...
sorry, for a second when you said including John, I thought you meant they were also baptizing him, and what you're really trying to say is he's also baptized.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
For John was not yet cast into prison. So John the Baptist was cast into prison later in the New Testament. And we're not going to go into that right now. And
they're just saying that this is before he had his legal troubles, before his baby mama started pressing charges. Sorry.
Bubs!
I don't know if that happened.
But no, it has nothing to do with the mother. It has nothing to do with any... Yeah, like that.
I have a question, but I'll save it until you're done with these verses.
Okay. No, Bubs.
What?
Stop it.
Are you at verse 31 yet?
No, I'm not.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, at number 24. For John was not yet cast into prison. Then there arose a question between some of John's disciples and the people that were following John, and the Jews about purifying. And they came unto John and said unto him, Rabbi, he that was with thee beyond Jordan, to whom thou bearest witness, behold, the same baptizeth, and all men come to him. John answered and said, A man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. Ye yourselves bear me witness that I said, I am not the Christ, but that I am sent before him. He that had the bride is the bridegroom. That's an example. But the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy, therefore, is fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease. Talking about Jesus. He that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaketh of the earth. He that cometh from heaven is above all. That's 30.
What's your interpretation of those verses?
So I was wrong. So John, these people are following John. John, and I believe it's because they think that John is like the Christ. Just as much as people have been following Jesus, and Jesus has been baptizing, and so has John, because this was in the beginnings of Jesus's ministry, and that he's basically saying, I'm not Jesus Christ, but he was before me, and I am pointing the way to him. And he makes the statement, I must decrease, but he must increase. He must increase, and I must decrease. So
basically, if I understand you right, they got to stop following him and lean more towards Jesus.
Exactly. He is doing God's work, but he is not the one who sent him. Yes.
Were the disciples, Jesus and
disciples?
John, yes, were all of them, they were like rock stars of their time. They're like, I mean, maybe not rock stars, but they were celebrities in their area.
They were thought of as really, they were thought of as, they were thought of as men of God, but they didn't understand that they should not be worshipped like God. For example, John keeps saying, I am not the Christ, I am not the light, I'm just pointing you towards him. But I'm not, and these disciples are just doing the instructions that were given to them, and given authority to do these things, like casting out devils, baptizing, laying hands on people to heal the sick, and to perform all these healings. But this was back in the New Testament, where the disciples were able to do that. Yeah.
So I know that we discussed the other day that according to you, Jesus was not married.
No.
And he didn't have any kids.
No.
I'm wondering, though, about spiritual groupies. Like, let's take Jesus out of the equation. But could John and the disciples...
rest of his disciples?
Yeah. Could they meet up with a girl after the miracles and, like, have a fun night?
Bubs, come on.
I'm asking. I don't know.
Bubs, no, it's not like that. It's not that kind of a...
But they're human, though.
They are human, but that's not what was recorded.
Why do you think that was, maybe they cut it out because they thought it would look bad for the book?
Bubs,
I'm being serious.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
I don't think that that's the kind of life that they were into, because that was way before, way before we were even born. I mean, you have to remember, you have to look at the context of these books. They weren't written in the time that we are dealing with.
No, but I got to think of it like, let's say we weren't together, right?
Uh-huh.
And I go and I see these 14 girls, and they heal all these problems. Part of me is going to be attracted to them.
Well, you should also question if they can really do that, though.
Well, I do question that about the disciples, and I would question that about the girls. But we're assuming that in these biblical times, a lot of people believed in the disciples and John and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, the question to me is obvious. Could they have one-night stands?
No. Bubs.
No, babes, don't tickle me. I'm being serious, because they could meet women on the road.
Yeah, but Bubs, you're thinking of this carnally.
Okay.
You're thinking of this in a worldly way, and I'm kind of laughing at it too.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think that everybody they performed miracles for just thought of it in a biblical way? Or some of them might have thought, oh, that Paul is really good looking today. I love the way he performed that miracle.
I don't know, Bubs. I mean, maybe if it were like a Hollywood movie, they probably would think like that. But I mean, because of how these passages are written, I don't think they were thinking about that so much. But I do believe they wanted something to believe in.
Okay, but you don't
Something
believe
tangible.
that any of them ever had a
No,
one-night stand.
Bubs, come on.
I'm being serious.
Bubs, come on, be realistic.
I'm not
here.
saying Jesus. I'm saying his disciples.
I'm saying that too.
Okay.
But I mean, see, this is what's kind of funny though.
Tell me.
Because you're thinking about this in a very, very worldly way, and like I said, I mean, this is something that could happen in a Hollywood movie though. Like
Right.
if they really wanted to play with this, which I don't watch movies like that, but if they really wanted to do that, they probably would make Paul as like this handsome rock star that sweeps all these women off their feet, but then he never gets married. So
The thing I'm curious though about is the disciples were human though, and so is John. So why wouldn't they also think of it in a worldly way?
Because that's not where their mindset was. They were set on following. They were set on doing the will of God, and they were not. They didn't want to put themselves. It seemed to me like they didn't put themselves in situations where they could do that.
I don't know.
Bubs,
What?
come on now, be a little bit serious once in a while.
I am serious. Like, you can't tell me that this question never came up in your mind before we started doing this.
No, it hasn't.
Really?
Well, you have to remember. I mean, I grew up, and a credit to the way that I grew up. I grew up listening to it, and then later on, when I got my Bible, I was reading about this, and I never thought of it like that. It's a different type of a lifestyle that they chose to have.
What would happen if somebody brought up this question in a regular Bible study?
I don't know what would happen because that's never happened before.
That is so crazy to me.
But that's also because the Bible studies that I've been to, a lot of them have studied the Bible or have given Bible studies before.
Okay, so I'm curious about something else, not related to sex.
Oh my goodness.
When the disciples and Jesus would go to a new city, how would they get there? Like we would say traditionally horse and buggy, but Jesus being the Son of God has a lot of powers.
I think they just took I think they just rode on animals. Because remember that when Mary and Joseph had to leave and take the baby to hide him from Pharaoh, I told you about, right? Because he was going to kill all the firstborn males, and they had to hide him. I think they had to either walk or ride an animal.
Okay.
So just because God would probably have a way for them to get there, he wasn't using his power for that.
Does that speak to Jesus's humility, or is that just like he wanted to experience what it was like to take a horse or a camel, I guess?
Well, I think that he was living as a man when he was on this earth, and he was doing what men do. The only thing is that he didn't have any sin, so he wasn't partaking in a lot of the things that men were doing. The men were doing.
Interesting.
So he's not like any other. He was not like any other man. So he wouldn't have, thought, oh, maybe I should wave a wand and transport us. It's not like DS9.
Okay.
I mean, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense.
Shall I go on?
Well, okay. One more question. When they would go to these towns and perform miracles, where would they sleep? Like, would they just go to random people's houses? Did they have a tent?
There were times where they would find a place to sleep, or sometimes some of the apostles would stay at people's houses. Sometimes you would read stories about people inviting them in.
Yeah.
But Jesus, I mean, when he was in the midst of his ministry, he didn't really have a home. He kind of slept wherever he was.
So sometimes he'd go into somebody's house. Sometimes he'd just sleep out in the sand.
Something like that, yeah. He would just make a tent or something.
Do you think, babes, that there was any part of the apostles on any day that was like, God, I got to sleep at on another person's home when I don't know what this
Did you
place
just
is
say,
gonna be like.
God, I have to sleep at another person's home?
Yeah, because they would go into other people's houses to sleep. Do you think that there was any part of them that was like that?
No.
Okay.
Do not take the Lord's name in vain in this
How did I take
podcast.
no, but how did I take the Lord's name in vain?
You just did.
How?
Well, every time you use God in an expressive way, you're taking the Lord's name in vain.
Really?
Yes.
I thought
if you're not praying to God, if you're not calling out to God, you're pretty much taking his name in vain.
Okay.
But don't do this in this podcast.
So I'll do another podcast.
No.
But not this one.
Not this one.
And not this one, but I'll do it as soon as we stop off the air. I'll say some harsh words. But babes.
Don't.
No. I'm having fun, babes.
Oh my god.
So how do you feel when you watch movies and they say terms like the gods or God, and they're using it in an expressive way? Like, oh God, I just got back from running.
I don't like it. I think that now it's become so used that people don't even think about it. I mean, it pains me to hear people use Jesus Christ's name as a curse word. It really does. It's painful to hear. But that's because a lot of people don't realize, or they're not living. You know, they're living a different way, and I don't think there's some people that realize that. That's why when you told me that Tom Likas was an atheist, and somebody asked him, well, why do you use God in your language? And that's what really baffles my mind, because if he didn't believe in God, he wouldn't use it in his language.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm surprised we went back to Tom Likas, but I am a fan.
But I just wanted to bring that up.
That's
no, I know it really bothers me. It really does.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Last night when we were making dinner, we were listening to the Beatles.
Yes.
And they played a song that I love called The Ballad of John and Yoko.
Right.
And he says Christ in the song.
Yeah.
But you told me you thought that's a good song.
It's a good song. I just don't like that part of it.
Really? Okay.
No, I don't like it. It bothers me.
But it's not going to stop you from listening to the song.
I mean, maybe it would. I don't know. I mean, I think that John Lennon had some issues when it came to religion anyway. So in some ways, I'm not surprised that he would say it, but it doesn't mean I like that part.
But you kind of understand it coming from where he was in life. Even if you disagree with it.
I do, but I don't. I'm not condoning what he said. But I mean, he said some pretty stupid things, like the Beatles are more popular than Jesus.
That was pretty dumb.
That was pretty stupid. And
I heard that was taken out of context a little bit.
Yeah, but
what he was trying to say is there's more young people at their concerts than going to church on Sundays.
I still don't. I mean, even my former rock history teacher doesn't accept that. It doesn't accept that answer.
But you did go to a Christian school.
He may have, but I also heard that he may have made a false conversion too. So
no, I said, but you went to a Christian school, not John Lennon.
A university, yes.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go on?
We are, but I have another question. You recently showed me the movie Moana.
Yes.
And they use the term the gods in it.
Yeah, but that's just. I mean.
But were you, when you were thinking about showing me that movie, were you at all hesitant to show it to me because of that?
No, because I knew going in that's what they were going to talk about.
But you didn't think to yourself, not myself. You didn't think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't show Rick this movie because they might not use the word God in the correct context.
No, I mean, that's totally. Maybe I should explain it.
Go ahead.
When it comes to gods, right,
yeah.
and folklore,
yeah,
that doesn't bother me much. What bothers me is when they take the name of my God that I worship and they use it in a way that is not honorable to God.
Okay, so
it bothers me when I hear that.
Let me give you a scenario, and I don't mean to use the Lord's name in vain, but if I do it accidentally, it is just an accident in this case. Let's say I come into your place and I say, "Oh God, I gotta pee," and I go to the bathroom. I don't believe in your God, so is that taking your God's name in vain?
It still is.
How? If I don't believe in your God?
But you have to take into account though, and you don't know that you don't know where your beliefs are going to go in the future. But just because that if you're using it in my house,
Yes.
then you're then to me you are. But
Really?
if you're not, if you're using it around people,
Yeah.
that don't care about that, that's a totally different story.
Interesting.
You're still, I would still consider that you're expressive. You're expressing that. I would still consider it the same way. But just because you're not around me, you may not think that way.
Even though I don't believe in the same God you believe in.
Even though you don't believe right now, yes.
Oh, but I mean, it will believe.
Bubs.
What?
You don't know that.
It's a very strong problem.
Yeah, but you shouldn't say never. You don't know that. You have no idea.
But it's unlikely, though. That's what it seems.
I don't know that it's unlikely.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people have thought that way too, but sometimes things change.
Listen, anything is possible.
Can we go on?
But I find...
Can we go on?
Do you want me to give you a kiss and then you read some more verses? Or do you want to read some more verses and then I give you a kiss?
Let's see after I read you
or okay, give me... All right, you read some verses and then I'll give you a kiss.
Okay.
And maybe we'll do some more.
Okay.
All right.
That's enough.
All right, keep reading. Keep reading, babes.
That's
do you need
enough.
a kiss? All right, keep reading.
I'll thump you over the head if you don't stop it. Bubs.
All right, keep reading, babes.
There you go.
Okay.
You behave, Bubs.
I do. Keep reading.
Okay, verse 32. And what he had seen and heard, that he testifieth, and no man receiveth his testimony. He that hath received his testimony hath set to his seal that God is true. For he whom God hath sent speaketh the words of God. For God giveth not the Spirit to measure unto him. The Father loveth the Son, and hath given all things into his hand. Hold on. The Father loveth the Son, and has given all things into his hand. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. And this is the end of this third chapter. Let's start the fourth chapter here.
All right.
If you don't mind.
No, we can do the fourth chapter, or part of the fourth chapter.
Yes. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Let me give you a context about the Samaritans before I go on.
Okay.
The Israelites and the Samaritans were enemies, and the Samaritans were a race of people that they just did not have dealings with for whatever reason.
Even though they were good Samaritans.
Well.
Sorry, keep going.
So Jesus is having this conversation with the Samaritan woman. I'm going to read on.
Okay.
Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. The Jews, I mean. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. So this is the introduction to what happens with when she meets Jesus at the well.
This one lady.
The Samaritan woman, yes.
Okay.
So the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans because they are enemies.
Why are they enemies, though?
I believe... I'm trying to think now. Let me get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Because I have read that they were... that they are enemies, but I don't remember why. I just know that they were a people that the Jews did not deal with and they did not fellowship with.
But it is explained in the Bible someplace.
I believe so.
Okay.
But I have to look that up for you.
Yeah.
Just remind me to do that. Is there anything else?
So, is this lady put off by the fact that Jesus is Jewish, or she's just like, okay, Jesus is talking?
Well, she doesn't understand yet that this is Jesus.
Okay.
So, for all she knows, it's just a Jewish man that is asking her to give him water. Because she's getting her water at the well. And I guess at that time, you had to... It was a chore to get water. Because you had to carry your bucket or pail or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is the water that you're using to drink and also to bathe in.
Mm-hmm.
And in your house, because it was different back then.
So... he obviously doesn't need the water, but this is a test to see if he passes it.
We have to keep reading.
But he's not going to die if he doesn't have water. Because he's the Son of God.
So he asks her, he's not going to die, but you can imagine it's probably a hot day.
Yeah. But, I mean, I imagine he has certain ways to cool himself off. Being that his dad is gone.
But so what he is trying to do is show her that there is physical water to drink, but that there is living water that her as a Samaritan can have. And that's going to be explained.
Okay, because right now I'm a little bit confused of the term living water.
Well, that's exactly why it's going to be explained in the next part of this chapter. In the next part.
No, I did say that I would kiss you.
Okay.
And nothing funny, babe. Oh, Jaylo.
All right.
Now, are there any Jaylos in the Bible?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, keep on going, babes.
Okay, or number 11, I'm sorry. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? So, I guess they are, they thought of them as descendants of Jacob.
Okay.
Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. Physical water.
Yes.
But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband.
Thou hast well said?
Hold on.
Okay.
It'll be explained.
All right.
For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband.
Damn.
In that...
Sorry.
Oh, swearing.
I didn't swear.
Yes, you did.
Damn's not a swear
Yes,
word.
it is.
Is it? Tom. Wait, is it really?
Yes, it is, Bubs. Okay. Let me keep on reading.
Okay, all right.
Yes, it is.
I did not think it was.
Of course you don't think it is. Go on.
You're gonna go with it.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, Bubs.
No, but I'm just saying, this lady's been married 5 times.
Yes, just let me read.
You can't get it right.
Okay,
all right. Keep reading.
Let me read.
Keep reading.
Quit. So okay. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou hast is thy, For thou hast 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidst thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I receive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Okay.
All right, break it down, babes.
All right. So let me see where I started so I can keep that in mind here. Okay.
And we also have to have a conversation about swear words.
Bubs. Okay. So I read a little bit. Okay.
All right.
So let's start from the beginning. All right. So
Yes.
Jesus goes to the well.
Yep.
Jesus goes to the well and sees this Samaritan woman, and he asks her for a drink. And they're like, well, that's interesting because I'm a Samaritan, and the Jews have no dealings with a Samaritan. And so he talks about anyone who drinks this water shall thirst again. It's physical water.
Yes.
But basically he's telling her that he is the living water, and that's talking about spiritual thirst. So in the Bible, he also talks about him being the bread of life. I am the bread of life. So eating and drinking, eating the bread of life and drinking the living water is is something that is compared to getting filled, fulfilling spiritual hunger and fulfilling spiritual thirst. So I know it's kind of hard to understand, but
so if he blesses her with this water, she's no longer going to be thirsty.
Right, exactly. So she has yet to partake, to partake this, and he's alluding to, he's trying to get her to understand what salvation is.
Okay. I have a couple questions.
Yes.
First, let's address the word damn. Why is that a swear word?
Well, I think it is a swear word because you're basically, it's basically a swear word to curse something. Now, if you're talking about, so there are some words that are mentioned in the Bible.
Yes.
Like damnable heresies.
Mm-hmm.
It's mentioned that because it's mentioned like that. It's not meant to be a swear word, but it's mentioned like that because damnable heresies are heresies that could cause somebody to be accursed. But if you're damning something, right?
Yeah.
You're cursing somebody.
See, I think
if I came up to you, and I'm just using this as this. If I came up to you and I said, damn you, Rick, right?
Yes,
I just cursed you.
Mm.
If I say, oh, Rick, damn it, I just cursed you.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm actually trying to explain this to you.
Okay.
If you take God's name and you damn him, you're cursing him.
Mm. I think
you are using it's a word that is used to curse something or someone.
Yes.
And that's why I don't think of it as a good word.
Okay, I think in the context of when I was using it when you're like 5 husbands, I was like, damn, so you can't get a marriage right? That's like the initial thought that went through my head.
See, that's what I mean. A cursing is so overused that people don't even realize the meaning of the word anymore, and that's probably what it is. You say it so much that you don't even know what the word means. And I'm not saying it to judge you, but that's probably what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking, it's more like slang, like she can't get it together.
Right, but just because it's slang, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good word either.
It sounds like you need a kiss.
Oh.
You're a little wound up.
I'm not wound up.
Okay, so here's another question.
Bubs,
What?
Yes.
So, people...
Are we going to talk about the verses?
Babes, we're getting there.
Okay.
But not right now. But I do have a spiritual question. Okay, so you got a lot of people in the Bible. You have Adam and Eve, you have Moses, you obviously have Jesus and the disciples and all these people, right? And I'm curious. I'm assuming when these people die, they go to heaven. Or a lot of them.
Who are the
People in the Bible.
right?
Like a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot
Not
of them.
everybody.
Yeah, a lot of them go to heaven. And there's a lot of people who die and go to heaven who are not mentioned in the Bible. Okay, so I'm wondering, like, let's say I die, I go to heaven, and I'm hanging out there, and I see, who's a good example of this? I see one of the disciples.
Okay.
Okay. Am I thinking to myself, oh my God, am I thinking to myself, oh gee, Williger. That's one of the, I try not to swear by your definition in this podcast, but I might, in real life, I might say something else. But I'm like, oh gee, golly gee, Williger. They're so-and-so from the Bible. Are those people like celebrities in the afterlife?
I don't know if they are. I mean, they're I don't know if you would call them celebrities, but they are the ones that have, they were the saints that have gone before the saints that are in heaven now.
Okay, so like, let's take the lady that we're talking about in where we are in the Bible.
Yes.
When she dies and go to heaven, I know people don't worship her, but are they like, you made it in the Bible, babe? What's that like?
I don't know.
You're mentioned, you made the book.
I don't know if they're thinking that way.
Really?
Because, heaven is a whole nother world.
Yeah.
And when you're on earth, you think about the temporal stuff. Like, oh, you made it in the book. You made it, whatever. Yeah. You think of it differently. And maybe I should have explained it this way when we were talking about the other verses. If you're thinking on temporal stuff, right?
Yes.
It's different than eternal things. So if you're in heaven, you're probably not going to be thinking that way. It's probably going to be, a whole nother mindset set where time and space is no longer there.
So Moses doesn't even think of it like I'm talked about a lot in this book.
Probably not.
Okay.
I think it's like a completely different mindset.
And you believe that Moses is in heaven?
Yes.
Even though he didn't believe in Jesus Christ?
Yes, he did.
He died before Jesus was born.
He died before Jesus was born, but again, Jesus was there even before he was chosen to come to earth as a man. So even though the Old Testament has foreshadowed his coming, just like it foreshadowed his coming in Isaiah, that doesn't mean he wasn't doing the will of God, because he was still he was still under the care of God anyway. It just that Jesus wasn't on earth yet. But he doesn't mean that he wasn't in heaven.
Interesting.
He was still doing what he was supposed to do. But the children of Israel had to follow these laws before Jesus came to fulfill that law. And after he fulfilled it, now we are living under grace. And so we're not living, so Christians are not living by the law of Moses anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, that he wrote in the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are important, don't get me wrong, but the Old Testament is a schoolmaster that points us to the New Testament before, points us to where the New Covenant was made with Jesus.
I really want to make out, but I'm curious if you have any more verses you want to read today.
Yes, I do. I want to read a little bit more. Okay. At least after the woman, at least after the story about the Samaritan woman.
And I'll probably have more questions too.
So. Okay. Yes. So let me start from 23.
Maybe I should get a kiss just to hold me over.
All right. Okay. Sorry I got a little wound up, but I really had to explain it to you.
That's okay, babes. We do need to have a conversation at one point about PC culture and biblical culture and how the two intertwine. But I don't know if that's a today topic or later on.
I don't know if they do intertwine, but we can talk about it.
Yes.
We can even talk about it off of this thing.
Uh-oh.
Okay. But the hour cometh, and now, this is number 23.
Yes.
But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, and at this point she doesn't know that he's Jesus.
Okay.
Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. And upon this came his disciples, and marveled that he talked with the woman. Yet no man said, What seekest thou? Or, Why talkest thou with her? The woman then left her water pot, and went her way into the city, and saith to the men, Come see, a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? Then they went out of the city, and came unto him. In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, basically asked him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, Hath any man brought him aught to eat? Jesus saith unto them, My meat is to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish his work. Say not he, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. And he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto life eternal, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. I'm almost done with the story.
Okay.
So he's talking about bringing people to Jesus as a harvest.
All right.
And herein is that saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. I sent ye to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye are entered into their labors. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him for the saying of the woman, which testified, He told me all that ever I did. So when the Samaritans were come unto him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. And many more believed because of his own word, and said unto the woman, Now we believe, not because of thy saying, for we have heard him ourselves, and know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world. That's it.
All right. So
that's the end of the story of this woman.
Explain that to me.
What do you want me to explain?
What do you think those verses that you just read mean, if you had to interpret it in modern day English?
So it meant to me that it didn't take much for the Samaritan woman to believe what he was saying, because she hey,
Sorry.
not here.
Okay, sorry, babes.
Bubs.
Sorry, babes. I didn't
Being
know.
bad boy.
I'm always good boy, so keep going.
But I think she said, well, he was able to tell me what I did and what I'm doing and what I did in my past. Because, and he was willing to talk to me as a Samaritan woman, even though he's a Jew. And he told me about the living water, even though I didn't know what that was. He explained that he was the living water. I didn't know what that was. And he talked to me as if I was a person. And
she felt that was rare, and it didn't really happen in her lifetime.
It never happened before, because remember when she said that, she basically said that we worship our gods.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, well, we know who we worship, but you don't know who you worship. You don't know why you worship your gods. And he's explained to her that he's trying to introduce her to who he was, but he did it in a way that was piercing to her soul.
How long was their experience? Because it sounds quick, but do we think that this is like a 5-minute exchange or that it's several hours?
I don't think it doesn't say how long it was, but I would imagine it was very quick.
Okay.
I imagine it was very quick, and she didn't realize that she was talking to the Messiah. Yes, but he wanted to bring it to her to where she would be like, "What? How do you know that? How do you know that I had 5 husbands and the one I'm living with isn't even my husband? How did you know that? I didn't tell anybody. You know, I didn't tell you that, but you knew what was going on with me."
But a counter argument could be that Jesus could have ran into somebody before who knew this lady's story, and it could be like, all right, Jesus, this lady is always at this spot this time of day. You know, so how would you defend against those accusations?
Well, it doesn't say, well, and like I've said before, Jesus had the ability to know, and still has the ability to know, the thoughts and the intents of a person's heart and what they are doing or what they have done before even asking them. Because if he is God, then he would know that. And so I don't believe that he actually ran into another Samaritan and said, "Okay, this is what this lady is like," because he would have already known that.
You mean it would have been in the Bible earlier?
He would have already he already knows that anyway.
Right, but how do we know that this isn't just creative editing to make a man named Jesus look like the Son of God? And this is part of that creative editing.
Well, what? Creative editing?
Yeah, so it's like you leave in the parts of the story that feed to the conclusion that we are reading a story about the Son of God, and you leave out the parts that show him as maybe could be a regular person.
Right.
How do we know that this wasn't just put together in such a way to where we're lead to believe that he's the Son of God, but maybe he's not?
This verse isn't going to be enough for you to, I don't think that this verse will be enough for you to understand, because there's so many other verses.
Yeah.
There's so many other books, but this is just an example that Jesus has shown during his ministry about how he has witnessed to these people.
Right, but I guess
I know, but I'm trying to explain it. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job. So in reading the Bible for myself, I have come to the conclusion that the people who wrote the books of the Bible were, even though they were penned by men, I believe that these words were documented, and they were in fact inspired scriptures by God, that these men were inspired by God to write these scriptures. And I know you haven't gotten to that point yet, and there's so many things I want to read to you that would explain this a little bit more. But this is just another example of how Jesus was being shown to people like the Samaritans.
And again, I would just question the validity of the story.
Okay.
Yes. How do we know that it actually went down this way? Just because they wrote it down. Because, like, I read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I don't believe... It's a great story, but I don't believe Harry Potter is real. Even though I've read the books.
No, he isn't a real person. He's just a fun character to read about.
The example I used to give back in the day, before you knew me, way before, back in like high school, late teens, was, how do we know that Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't a savior? I have video evidence of her fighting demons, right? So in the Bible, it's written down, but I can actually go and show you footage of Buffy fighting people. But even with that,
But
I
there
don't believe
is-
in Buffy. But I'm
Right.
just saying there's more documentation.
Well,
of
there
Buffy.
is evidence about a lot of the places in the Bible, like there has been evidence about the Ark of the Covenant. There's been evidence some of the places in the Bible, like Nineveh, and which is a town in Iraq, and Mount Ararat are there, and there's been some archaeologists that have looked at where Solomon's palace was, and a lot of the places. I mean, I've known some people that have gone to Israel, physically gone to Israel, and actually stood on the Mount of Olives. There are so many things that in the Bible that have actually been proven, as far as the as have our archaeologists have found. So just because you're not quite sure that it's true, and I understand that,
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge you for that at all. That also doesn't mean that it isn't.
True, but I'm just curious about that. So
Yeah.
another question I have is, and I hope this doesn't sound too weird, but coming from me, it probably will because I have a bizarre outlook.
You have a weird outlook, yes.
As we're doing this, I'm wondering to myself, why weren't there any camcorders back in the Old Testament times even? And you could say, well, Rick, they weren't invented until like 100 years ago. But my counter argument would be, yeah, but why couldn't God have given Noah or Adam the idea to invent the camcorder and the information of how to do that so we could have actual video documentation of this?
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about people going back and tracing Christian history to looking for these artifacts and items that were in the time of that the Bible was written, and they're coming out with quite a bit. I mean, I'm sure that you could find I'm sure you could find articles on the internet that talks about places like where Jericho used to be. Jericho was a place that was that there was a battle. There was a battle in Jericho, and this is like in the Old Testament, but Jericho was not able to be built back up again. But there are evidences to support that Jericho is in fact that Jericho was in fact a real city.
If I understand what you're saying correctly, we don't need videotape of Jesus or Moses because there's so much other things that could point to its
yes, absolutely. There are things coming out right now about that.
Why do you think it's taken so long for that stuff to come out?
I don't know. I mean, there are people that have wanted to look for themselves to see if that was in fact true. And I don't know why it took long. I mean, maybe they just didn't know where to look. I don't know why.
Wouldn't you think that God would want that stuff to be out in the open all along, so there would be less questioning of people? From people?
I don't know that he would.
Why not?
Because I think that that he would rather them just trust that what he has said in his word is true. But again, I mean, people are curious and they want to know where things are and if they're still there. So it really could go both ways.
Very good, Jaylo. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, this is good. That's
some good questions, babe.
Yes, you did.
Are you going to... So I guess the question I have is, how do these conversations affect how you approach doing lessons? if at all?
Well, it's interesting. I don't believe I've ever heard a lot of these questions that you have asked. I mean, even the funny ones. But for a person that maybe has never been to a Bible study, that would make more sense if you ask questions like that.
Oh.
No. That's a good thing.
It is.
It's a good thing. The funny ones, I'm not too sure of.
Well, most of my questions are serious, even if I present them in a funny way.
Yes, Bub.
Yes. You know, Christians believe that Jesus is going to come back one day, or a lot of them. I shouldn't say all of them, but I'm assuming you fall into that.
Yes, most do.
But you don't believe that it will happen in your lifetime.
I don't know. It may happen today. It may happen tomorrow. It may happen next week. It may happen the next month. We don't know. We know that he's coming back, but we just don't know the day or the hour. It could be what?
No, I'm just thinking. I hope it doesn't happen today because that's some movies I want to show you.
Oh my goodness!
It's like, could you come back in like 5 hours?
Well. Here's the thing about God. You can't tell him to wait or to not wait. He's gonna.
No, but I could ask and I say, "Hey, God."
It's not gonna work.
Okay. Okay. What happens in heaven when Jesus leaves? Do people in heaven just like wait around, or how does that work?
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing, but I would think that they would know. Actually, the only one that would know is God the Father. Nobody else knows.
Oh.
The angels don't know. He doesn't know. God the Father knows. So once God the Father gives him the sign, he's going to come.
Interesting.
So God the Father knows all about what's going to happen with that, but we don't.
Oh.
And the angels don't.
We do need to have a serious discussion about free will, because I've told you this before, but I don't know how somebody could be
free will or free choice. And I need to look at some verses for that.
It seems very contradictory to me that somebody could believe in God and still believe in free will.
It is possible, but I have to get back to you on that. And maybe I'm going to spend maybe a few weeks trying to find those verses, because I know it's what you wanted to study.
It's something I'm very curious about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Jaylo, and let's kiss, because we haven't done that yet. Babes, no jokey. Babes, no jokey.
What I can joke and you can't. Okay.
I'm dating a fart lover. I'm dating a fart lover.
I am not. You take that back.
Boy. Give me a kiss boost. Oh, I can give me another kiss. Oh.
Okay. Stop.
Why?
This is not the time.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say? No.
No.
Okay. All right, Jay. Well, till next time.
Did you notice I was going like this to your head?
I did notice that.
Okay. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.